I'm Luke Summerhays, and I love Toedscool. Since the 7th generation and Pokémon Sun and Moon, we've had regional forms, slight variations of existing Pokémon, which evolved differently to suit their environment. Paldea doesn't actually introduce us to many of these Pokémon. Instead, it does something a little different, which fans are comparing to the real-life phenomenon of convergent evolution. Convergent evolution refers to unrelated animals developing the same body shape or adaptation completely independently of one another. Perhaps the most famous examples are sharks, ichthyosaurs, and dolphins. They have very similar bodies, perfect for swimming and hunting in the oceans. Yet sharks are fish which have swam for 400 million years, ichthyosaurs were reptiles which returned to the sea around the time of the dinosaurs, and dolphins are a kind of whale, mammals which also returned to the sea long after the ichthyosaurs did. A ground and grass type Pokémon, Toedscool is at first glance very similar to Tentacool. Rather than being a jellyfish-like creature floating in the sea with tentacles dangling beneath it, this is a mushroom which runs around on two spindly legs. The visual of Toedscool sprinting circles around the player is hilarious, and Pokémon Violet tells us, though it looks like Tentacool, Toedscool is a completely different species. Its legs may be thin, but it can run at a speed of 30 miles per hour. The name Toedscool of course comes from toadstool, another name for a mushroom, though the spelling is a little different, toad being spelled to reference the toes one has on one's feet. The Japanese name is Nonokurage, with Tentacool being called Menokurage in Japanese. The Kikurage is a type of mushroom whose Japanese name essentially means jellyfish mushroom. This pun may be the source of inspiration for the whole Pokémon. Pokémon Scarlet tells us, Toedscool lives in muggy forests. The flaps that fall from its body are chewy and very delicious. This is similar to the Kikurage mushroom. Just as Tentacool becomes Tentacruel, so at level 30, Toedscool becomes Toedscruel. Looking like a land-based Tentacruel with a flappy mushroom-like carapace and an octopus sucker, Toedscruel seems even more like an alien from an old science fiction novel or comic book than Tentacruel already did. Pokémon Scarlet tells us, these Pokémon gather into groups and form colonies deep within forests. They absolutely hate it when strangers approach. Of course, real-life mushrooms do tend to grow in large colonies. Both Toedscool and Toedscruel have the species name wood-ear Pokémon, referencing the English name for the mushroom called a jellyfish mushroom in Japanese. Pokémon Violet tells us, it coils its 10 tentacles around prey and sucks out their nutrients, causing the prey pain. The folds along the rim of its head are a popular delicacy. This is not necessarily common behavior for a real-life mushroom, but does make sense in a Pokémon context, where Pokémon like Amogus, Parasect, and Breloom have long made themselves a menace. Toedscruel may join those ranks, not only having access to the dreaded Spore, but also the often useful Trick Room. The Japanese name for this Pokémon is Rikukurage, with Riku being the Japanese for land. This should be well known to Kingdom Hearts fans, with Riku, Kairi, and Sora being named after the land, sea, and air respectively. I love Pokémon, and I have a great deal of nostalgia for the early days of the series, which basically set me on the path to where I am today. Still, it can be a little disappointing to see constant homages to Generation 1 in newer games and newer rosters. Here, I think it works well, a fun little reference to a silly pun and a real-world quirk of nature. Music for Luke Loves Pokémon is composed by Jonathan Cromie. Artwork for the show is by Katie Groves. Writing, producing, and editing is all by me, Luke Summerhays. Funding is provided by lovely listeners. If you'd like to help keep the lights on or give your thanks, head over to patreon.com/podcastiopodcastius. There you can find links to the other shows my pals and I create, or for just $1 a month, listen to episodes as soon as we're done editing. I love hearing from you guys. A 5-star rating and review on your podcasting app of choice, or even better, telling a friend about the show, is always much appreciated. Our next monsters are Glorf and Capsakid. Let me know your thoughts and feelings about those or any other Pokemon on Twitter or Facebook at LukeLovesPKMN. And catch more Pokemon content at twitch.tv/LukeLovesPKMN, Friday nights from 9 PM UK time. And even if you don't feel like doing any of that, thank you so much just for listening. I love Toedscool, and remember, I love you too.